No intro video. I have to do that eventually. I have no idea how to tell when this is actually... There we are.
It says it's live. So.
Let's double check the YouTube and see if it's actually doing it. Oh, nice. We're good. Cool. So what's up, brother? How you been?
Oh, I just got off an 11-night stretch. So, been pretty much just doing that. I mean, as far as work goes, nights is easier, right? But harder as far as the hours, staying up all night and sleeping all day, especially in the sunlight, right?
I know she does the same thing
But,
with work.
it is what it is. Things been good. I'm not complaining or anything. It's just what's going on.
When do you start up again?
Wednesday night, and then it's only for another month, and then I have no idea what's going on. So I've been in the dark for like 6 months on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Are you guys producing?
But that's what I mean.
No?
Like, it's all good to me. Yeah,
Are you guys
produce stuff for 5 different vehicles.
But I remember
we run the Ranger, the Bronco.
I remember at one point you were telling like Silas and everyone that like you didn't even know what half the divisions were actually doing for work.
Well, there's like other plants that have shut down. Then there's parts of ours that are gonna get lopped off, and things are getting moved around. So it's more just, and there's a section of my plant that's just reduced production like crazy, and our numbers are way down, but it's mostly because they added a shift. There's a lot of like falsification that happens because the different switching between traditional and alternative work schedules, adding and removing shifts, moving people around. Like, they're creating a mess, right? Like, it's kind of like this internal destruction thing. But surprisingly, like, this whole time, people have been saying it for years. They can't believe it, but still running and still putting numbers up, and there's still stuff going on all the same. I mean, it's just...
Do you think the numbers are real?
It's a big mess, right? Well, I mean, I know like exactly what we're building, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the plant there, sitting and watching the lines.
But can you tell what's actually going on?
You mean the numbers they're putting out in the big?
Yeah.
No, they lie all the time, like in company emails that come down from up top and stuff. Like, they're way off.
Yeah. No, I figured.
We know they're off. Yeah.
I figured.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, do you have anything on this topic? Because I know you're like the archivist over here.
Yeah, well, I would say that we have other archivists that are well beyond me.
I know half of us are archivists in all different ways.
Yeah, and this stuff, like, I mean, I've just always loved the dystopian sci-fis, and
Yeah.
Have
you listened to James?
This information. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No. Have you listened to James True at all?
James who?
James True is his last name, which is he's interesting. I don't agree with everything he says, but he has definitely a interesting take on because like now everyone's starting to do the ancient AI idea, but he does it in a way where he's kind of pro ancient AI, which is kind of, to me, that gets a little sketchy. Not that I don't think he has good intentions. I just think he's like stretching a little bit.
Yeah. I haven't like watched his recent stuff. I've seen people putting things up, his latest and greatest. Uh, I watched
He
all his stuff through like the plasma fire things and then everything before.
he gets into like how like cuz like him
Sorry, you were
seeing
gonna
how
say something?
am I on a delay with you or no? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's even saying network connection lost.
Jesus. Is the volume low or just the networks going in and out?
And then you're freezing up too. Like that's the other thing. Yeah, you just come through a little delayed sometimes.
That's bizarre.
Let's see.
Do you think it's my end or yours?
Could be either. I had like a ton of stuff running.
Yeah, let me make
I've
sure I
had this
should.
laptop on for a while too. I might have to restart. It's also telling me I gotta like free up space. So
For StreamYard? Or for your laptop?
yeah, but through StreamYard, that's like the StreamYard Help Center.
Oh, don't worry
I
about
mean,
that.
right now it's starting to work better.
Yeah, it tells me that all the time on StreamYard. Don't worry about that. You should be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing with
Well, I'll just
the
leave it right now. I can hear you fine. So go
okay,
ahead.
yeah, and if it keeps
Sorry.
happening, we'll figure it out. But yeah, with the James Tree thing is like he starts getting into how like now we have more, basically more like metals in our body than ever, but we don't get as sick as someone who would have had that much of a toxic metal in their body in the past. So he sees that as an evolutionary benefit. And that's where I'm like, all right, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I get the idea, but
Yeah, it just is
it's like fast evolution.
because
That's
it's like,
really all
what's
he's
the end
talking
game?
about, right? Um,
But I do like his ideas on like,
well, just terraforming.
but I do like his ideas on the AI that survives the cataclysm. It like sets up subsidiaries and it gives like people 6,000 to 12,000 years. And then at 6,000, it starts like being like, all right, if they're not doing, if they're not at a point we want them to be, we take them out. Because I mean, dude, everything's just so insane. I don't know how else to explain some of the behaviors.
Well, even trying to explain, like, I think people stopped asking the question some time ago, but what about, we had 100 years of this insane, like, from the Industrial Revolution to now, like, people don't talk about that, right? It's all been divided up into different decades, and with all the stuff coming so fast and hot nowadays, like people forget what happened yesterday and last week and last year. So when it comes to like, oh yeah, the Great Depression or something, they're like, what are you talking about? Like anybody of a certain age level and below for sure, right?
Yeah,
Like there would be
none of the
absolutely
timelines.
no, yeah.
Yeah,
So
none of
and
the
it
timelines make
doesn't
sense.
add up. It's never added up. Uh, No,
Exactly. The
no,
only
they
way,
they
and that's why,
cross and
yeah, and when we get into the ancient AI
they
sort
go.
of idea, like a surviving system that somehow managed to, I don't know, park itself at the bottom of the ocean and just sit there until things cleared up and then start rebuilding or started rebuilding, it kind of then would make sense how buildings the size of the Capitol building in DC were built all around the Americas, like how would they have gotten the bricks? The AI would have set up like little subsidiary companies to bring the bricks out there. Like everything would have been in place. I mean, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I do. I see what you're saying too. It's like I could see. It's hard to explain it, right? To say it's like in all these different movies and stories and different tales and like all through the history books. Like even why is it that it's that story that's in all of these other stories? Like why do they keep retelling this stuff? The rebuilding of Nimrod, right? All the way back to like those times. you know, um,
Exactly.
it's funny because like lately I've been watching a couple of what do you call them? They're like slapstick comedies of the past 20 years or so. Like Laser Team, I'll throw that one out there for instance. Like,
Okay.
um, they get these four weapons from space, and they're all named after whatever Zeus's lightning bolt and Apotheosis shield and all these various things, right? And it's typical to have these Greek and Roman, and so it's always these same names, and then they throw some like random bad guy name from Sumeria in there or something, right? That nobody's ever heard of. So now that makes people go out and look it up. Um, yeah, and it's all about this like rebuilding or like a grand battle or whatever. There's like a handful of stories that are just told over and over, right?
Yeah.
But it's always got that underlying theme, the rebuilding the Babylon Tower, rebuilding the temple.
And that's the thing. It's
So,
like biblical, but the weird thing is then that would mean the ancient AI kind of always is predicting its destruction. And like we
correct.
always sort of looked like I feel like everyone sort of in our little weird community, I don't even want to call it the truther community because that's a mess right now, but
Hmm.
open-minded people who have looked into this have considered that a warning. But what if the warning wasn't like what if it wasn't a warning about creating the system? It was a warning from the AI to not fuck it up. Like all your predecessors tried doing this and they kept messing it up every time. So don't be like them. Like
Yeah.
I mean, the way that the Chat GPT and all these language models are they communicate it, it's very similar to how they describe the Gospels in the Bible and them having this Q source that they all seem to pull from that they can't find and they don't know who actually it is or what actually it is. It's bizarre. It's like I mean maybe even like that self-fulfilling prophecy is like almost one of these AI hallucinations. It didn't mean to do it.
No, I mean, I could say, we don't know. I say a lot of this stuff's very speculative, and that's why I think being open-minded and being able to talk about this stuff's very difficult because most people take it to heart that they are a software engineer or they're this or they worked for whatever government branch of something, and and it's like, how much do you really know? We have this mass compartmentalization. Militaries and governments are built on compartmentalization. So are businesses, or at least that's what they end up evolving into. And so you have this mass, like, you don't need to input miscommunication. You can just throw all of the stuff out there and it'll just light up like a fire on its own. You know what I mean? They always talk about the prophecy of, it won't be by a flood, it'll be by a fire. It's like, well, the
Mm-hmm.
flood is the information and the fire is the own, human spirit or whatever you want to call it that ignites, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's like if you have a controlling AI being, an alien race, or just let humans be on their own, I think you're probably going to have the same type of stuff all happening right now. But I don't think you would have had the progression from like what the new frontier to the industrial revolution to the tech revolution to now is like it doesn't seem like it would have went that fast, right? It's hard to say, but from everything you can learn and study and read and whatever you experienced in your life growing up, it just seems like that's a lot, right? I mean,
Well,
like,
let's play it out. Let's play it out, right? So we have, say, one mainframe that survives the last cataclysm, survives underwater. When it sees people have survived, it comes up, and it's almost like an Ark of the Covenant sort of thing that people are warring over for a
right,
while, and it's giving whoever possesses it a bunch of weird powers that they don't understand. And I guess you would have to think that it's there has to be some sort of form of communication, and it's slowly influencing people towards inventing what it needs to then spread itself across the world. So
right. Get to its red eye stage, right? Where it's
yeah,
starting to order people and ship stuff and build itself or whatever, build an empire.
so if it's like a 12,000 year thing, that's enough time. But if it doesn't seem like it is, seems like it's less than that. But now, if we have multi AIs,
Uh,
and then we have them influencing world leaders who have somehow survived in bunkers or something like that, then what are you going to do? You're going to listen to the freaking omniscient AI freaking drone that's flying over your house telling you it could help you rebuild your whole civilization.
in this like idea or this like walking it through the process that we're doing, if you have to be open to that, you have to also be open to almost all of the other stuff at the same time. And like you can
Yeah,
call it a bunch of names. You can call it angels and demons and robots, vampires, dragons, Dracula, vampires, whatever. Right? There's all these things. There's that's the stories. Whatever they evolved from, they came from somewhere. You know, they exist
absolutely.
and they're repeated for whatever reason. So so I'd also have to like think with these, long period AI systems that there's got to be people who are being preserved or living for eons, 500 years, 1,000
Yep.
years. And I mean,
Yep.
they're basically going to be like they're going to be handlers to these AI units, right? And
Yeah.
and that's where it's like this whole thing of it rising out of the ocean. I would presume multiple systems. We're in a big place. whatever whatever Earth is, it's a very large, it's a vast space. There could be many, many, many systems in
And
all
I would,
various types, right? There could be
yeah.
ones that are very ancient, and then there's ones that are made 6,000 years ago, made 3,000.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely
So
think it would
it's
be more likely for it to be widespread, and then I mean that could be an explanation for a lot of the mythology we have. Really it's technology,
mhm,
some of it, but obviously there's still always going to be that spiritual aspect behind everything. It would just be
mhm,
way less at play than people. It would be kind of more of like a Gnostic sort of outlook, I think, at that point, because the demiurge becomes like this AI.
right. It's like the physical manifestation aspect of it.
Yeah,
And
wow.
like that's the whole thing with like, does anybody really know what the internet is? You know, like you can break it down into it's a connected series of devices through cables and wires and some wireless stuff, and
Yeah,
But
no,
it's
no
like,
one seems to know how any of it works. That's
right.
why they can't explain why the AI is lying, basically, or hallucinating, as they're using. It'd be nice if we could lie and just say we were temporarily hallucinating, but the AI can do it whenever it wants, which is
Yeah.
weird. It's weird in itself, but there was something I saw the other day that I thought was interesting, and it was that the acronym CDC was actually one that had to do with computers before it was the Center for Disease Control. And then I started finding that there were way more acronyms that are like this that are now totally different government agencies that
We're tech that are
that
now
used to be
medical.
tech. Yeah. That used to be
Yeah.
tech that are either now medical or some sort of branch of government. And I was like,
Hmm.
what the hell is going on with this? Let me see if I can find it again. It was the science technology. Is that it? The connected device wait, is that it? Connected device configuration? I feel like I don't feel like that's the one. What the hell? Let
It's
me open
already scrubbed.
Telegram.
The AI
Yeah,
heard
right.
you.
It's gone. No, I think I sent it to someone. I sent it to Gabe, I think, on Telegram because I was like, it was just bizarre.
Well, it makes sense though. You got, in our current times, Mr. Gates, he's like been the star-stud runner for that move as far as tech to
Ah,
medical.
here it is. I'll share it for everyone to see. Share screen. Share screen. So this was it. The Control Data Corporation. So
Nice.
and obviously, it pops up right in. Well, they say it's built in what 57, but in the 60s, it's one of 9 major U.S. computer companies with IBM. It's just like what? I don't know. It just is and like the computers. It's almost like they found these things to me when I look at them. Because they even say,
Yeah,
because they're saying even in here that they don't understand how these computers were doing some of the things they were doing.
right.
So there has to be a point where someone understands how the computers are doing what they're doing. It can't just go all the way back to the start of computers and for some reason we don't understand what they're doing. Because these aren't
Right.
supposed to be self programming. It just is wild to me.
Well, that's the whole thing is I've come across more and more stories and different articles and things. Not recently. This was all like years ago that I was kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds like a decent myth to check out sometime, but just skip past, right? And then like these things would pop up in other videos or clips and remind me, and I went and looked, and there was like a huge tie between Alcoholics Anonymous (AA) and like Dr. Bob kind of being a non-existent person. And so the one guy I watched who does some good presentations, he's like a Gnostics, his title's Gnostic something something. He he did a pretty good, dive into this Dr. Bob, and then there's Dr. Wilson are like the two founders of AA, and they were like the first members, right? And so they they don't really have anything on Dr. Bob. And like I was in that program and my grandpa was in it, and I've seen how they work and how that whole organization functions, right? Uh, Nobody really knows who those people are. They know the couple stories of their recovery, of alcoholism and drugs and all these other things, but they don't actually know anything about, who their wives were really. I mean, now if you go look up on Wikipedia, you'll find a little bit of this and that, but
Yeah, I for
um,
sure said it was maybe related to Scientology.
and Bob is actually an acronym that's really known, it's well known in the cult of the subgenius. But Bob is the acronym for what they think they had a computer program that was responding and talking to Dr. Wilson. And so that's why there was never really much on Dr. Bob for so long. And now there's like these stories that are made up. Um, now he's got like a full Wikipedia page. I mean, I'm pretty sure I took a clipping of it at one point. There was like 3 sentences, now there's like
Yeah, yeah,
10, 15 paragraphs because people started questioning it, right?
yeah, yeah. I had heard aside like this. That's new. That's a new aspect to it. The sort of is it like a some sort of technological system behind even that program? But like I've mostly heard rumors of, like I said, Scientology and Freemasonry.
Oh yeah. No, I mean
Yeah,
it's the two A's and there's 3 dots in between them and a triangle formation
but I mean, if
and
you think about it,
there's
all
all
of the
sorts of.
Scientology, Freemasonry coming from John D, it's all a artificially kind of induced system based on the mathematics he seemed to be channeling from whatever the hell he was talking
Well,
to.
so the symbols I just said, what they secretly mean or what I've deciphered them as is OTO, and that
OTO.
relates to all their work. It's kind of
Dude.
like the hidden inscription that's in everything.
Yes, bro. And then,
Yeah.
all right, this was the other thing I had found on this page, the Plato Computer Aided Learning System. And and Plato stands for Programmed Logic for Automatic Teaching Operations,
Hmm.
which I mean, if you think about it, like that's exactly what the Republic is. Like it's like literally just like a chat between an AI and a human, and
Right.
the AI is constantly answering the questions for the human. It's a
Hmm.
bizarre. So, and of course Illinois, but
Yeah.
if you have any of that some of that OTO symbolism from the what's it called the AA, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. I'll have to find
I
some of
was
the books I got upstairs. I don't have to find them; they're right on the shelf. But no, I'll go have to look it up and send it after. I'm not gonna be able to get
okay,
it right
okay.
now. Um,
But yeah, that was just like a start of things, and I was just like, there's so much. You can just go through every single god and goddess ever.
well, that's why I don't want to like go down too deep into anything. Otherwise, we'll talk for 6 hours trying to cover
Yeah,
all this stuff, right?
yeah.
So it's like I see it in that. I see it like you're saying. It's connected into everything, really. Like Zeilberg brings up the IEEE stuff all the time, and I
Hmm.
mean they have a lot of the same symbolism that has to do with all the electronics and electrical standards, and the numbers all have various meanings and significances to like what which code or standard they're talking about. But then even when you read it, like if you actually read the codes, like I had to read them all the time, learning them in vocational schools and college, and uh, even looking at them today once in a while, right? It's like I look at these codes and I'm like, God, it's just why'd you pick those numbers? They could have picked any numbers, but and it's like typically you think that these organizations have a logic behind them, which they do. It's just an unknown logic to most people. So, but the logic that they teach you, you're looking at it and it's like, what? It's like you started making codes and the 100s and 200s, and then all of a sudden you jump to like 500, and then it was to 800, and
Yeah.
all the 800 stuff has to do with body area networking and things like that, and the W band. And, the 500 codes have to do with like specific systems that are set up across the country and like doing uh, all the towers, the cell towers, and that kind of stuff. And then the initial codes all started off as like basic stuff that was like health and safety, supposedly, and all things like that. But if you look up the original, health and safety standards and all the tests, well, you can't find them because they were all destroyed and there was horrible results to using electricity and power in the way that we do today. And
Is
so
that
there's
is
negative
that
effects
is that like
that
what's
were
covered in the electric? What is it? The electric universe? Not electric universe. What is that book? The electric rainbow or electric?
yep, electric rainbow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have that book. And
Dirty electricity and clean electricity and these various different, ways of moving power. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
everything's energy. So it's how you
And
transmute it affects everything.
it's interesting because wasn't it too? It was there was an odd thing with the electricity where some people wouldn't get sick when doing certain experiments in that book. I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, I might not be, but I think
Was
I
it
am.
the town that the blue zone over in Chernobyl?
I think this was more. I think the author was a male, right? A guy who wrote that book.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he was talking about just there were these basic experiments that were going on when people would come and they would kind of like create, I guess, closed circuits by like holding each other's hands and like the electricity would pass through them,
Oh
and
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of them would get sick, but then there'd always be one or two people who just would be totally fine, or they wouldn't feel
Right.
good, have headaches, symptoms that you'd expect from the, that type of electrical exposure. So it's like, what is that?
I feel like that ties into like grounding, and that's what a lot of people really don't realize. That's almost like this is so hard to explain. It helps with like visuals and everything, right? But um,
Do you have anything?
no, I'll just describe it the best I
Okay.
can at the moment. Because I mean, some people have seen more than enough television, so most people have seen The Island, right? Where they're like cloned people living in an underground base is how it starts off. And uh,
Ewan McGregor's in there, right?
yep,
Yeah.
yes, and Scarlett Johansson is the love interest.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
but there's like this very particular scene. Well, there's two of them that happen, 10 minutes apart or so at the beginning, and Ian McGregor is, asking about his environment because they're lying to all the clones and telling them that the outside world's poisoned and they're the surviving humans on Earth. You know, that's how they keep them steadily contained until they're actually needed to be used for organs
Sounds
for
sounds familiar.
their donors. Yeah. So but there's all I want to talk about is this very particular scene where one of their Ian McGregor's job and a few of the others is that they sit in this room where there's tubes coming in and there's tubes going out. They're told that they're injecting the tubes with vitamins for their food, for the food supply that they eat, right? But they're sitting in this room where the tubes come in one wall and go out the other, and they're just injecting them with syringes, right? And they're just like, well, where are the tubes coming from? Where do they grow? This is showing extreme compartmentalization, right?
Hmm.
And literally, they're in a boxed room, tubes in, tubes out. Sit here and put this juice into these tubes. And it's funny, the irony is that they're putting the vitamins and whatever stuff needed to feed the new clones that are being grown after them, right? So your workforce is now creating the workforce. It's almost like a perfect perpetual uh, system, right?
Yeah, it's like a
But the
predatory.
important part I'm trying to describe about it, oh yeah, 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 very
Go, go,
predatory.
go, go ahead.
But the important part about that is like it's the question that he's asking. And people don't, a lot of things are going on in a movie or going on in a show. I mean, even when you read a book, there's a lot of twists, turns, all this stuff. So it's like the important thing is that question that he's asking. That's what a lot of people never ask, and they'll just sit in their little box and be happy with life, but they never ask where those tubes are going. You know what I mean? And so it's like with all the electricity you have around you, with the even when they started doing radio broadcast and they're shooting radio waves everywhere, um, start routing power to your house, start routing more power because now you got lights and you got motors and you got garages and refrigeration and all these things start coming in, and now you're all this stuff we've grown up with all of that. So that's where I don't like. I'm probably gonna agree with like James True in a sense of like, yeah, everybody in this generation now for sure with all the technology and everyone's carrying a cell phone in your pocket. What are those effects actually doing, right? Like they always did these preliminary tests and all these other various things. They found the dangerous levels and then they just increased them over time slowly. Well, I mean, like, yes, that slowly poisons people, but it also does, like, you're gonna have people who survive that. I mean, that's where I think there is a truth to like Darwinism, where they talk about evolution in a sense, and I think it does happen a lot faster. I don't think it happens over these eons. You say that so that you can make up whatever you want and trick people. Um,
Yeah, it's like I
yeah,
mean, it's similar to like I mean, I think in True said this as well. Like it's like dosing yourself with small doses of like venom and
yep,
like spider venom, because if you keep doing it, eventually it doesn't affect you. But I'm not really sure I buy that it'll eventually not affect you. It just may not affect you as much.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's. I think you're still being poisoned. Poison's still
yeah,
poison,
it's
right?
still gonna.
As far as what that means to the being, it's killing you at
Yeah,
the fullest extent.
especially when
You know.
everything is frequency based, like your whole entire existence. It's not just like a chemical is one thing, but to be surrounded by frequency, that's poison. It's like that's the whole entire. That's your whole entire environment. It's not
And
just something you.
in our
It's
environments built into boxes. You're built
yeah.
into squares. The sound doesn't bounce off of squares very well. Frequency in this place doesn't work very well in square places. Right? You think auditoriums are half circles,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the older homes that were circles. You have communities that were circles. You had the town circle, not the town square. Like there was major differences way back when, where things have been squared off. And I think that happened in the past too. So you have ancient structures and ancient cities that are built in square patterns as well, right? Still one of the basic shapes. It's still going to happen. And I think that's what can kind of give someone a little bit of like there's probably multiple ancient ruling entities. You can call them AIs or whatever, these ancient things that have been in existence here the whole time in whatever fashion or for long periods of time. But you do have these different structures built in different ways, right? You have pyramids, you have square cities, you have circular cities, you have
Mm-hmm.
circular, square, and all sorts of shape roadways and waterways and etc. So it's, I think that gives you some competing designs because, like, if you look at your base computer right now, everything's about the squares, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Everything's
and then
very squared up.
because you could make an argument then for like more of like an archetype sort of situation that mimics the ideas presented in like American Gods more so than just having the ancient AI. You have these ancient archetypal entities that are in like the etheric or the
Right.
astral that are influencing everything, and one of them just happens to be this AI that's a physical interface. which I still got to finish that show. That show was great.
That we're wrong in all this too, right? Like it could be some other whatever that we don't even know about, have never imagined, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of possibilities out there. That's I don't know. I try to make that clear with all these talks because it's just like, I understand people want to get upset and very into, whatever they've researched. I mean, I think we all get that way. If I like read really deep into all this stuff for a couple days, I'll get kind of passionate, right? You get emotional almost about certain things.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I was
don't
kind of
care.
excited you asked to do this talk because I was
Yeah,
like,
I don't care
I
anymore
haven't,
about anything. So it's like I like just
yeah,
kind of I'm just spitballing because I have no connection to this being true or not. I'm just like running through ideas with you and bouncing them off you, seeing
oh, I know,
what
I
you
know.
think. Because we don't need to have a situation like we've seen in the past with people getting so upset about
Yeah.
their ideas being shot down.
No,
There's no point.
because I
There's
think
no
there's
point.
a big mix happening too. It's just, we're all going to be quite a bit wrong, maybe
Yeah.
right in some ways, but it's like,
Ever.
there's probably a mix of things going where
Always.
anybody who is like you're kind of saying you're not too into this stuff. Like your profession doesn't really, other than learning audio, visual, and some other stuff. You don't need to know like programming or
Yeah.
software development or whatever. But even if you do, I feel like you get boxed into like sections, like there's certain things I learned through their systems that were through their programmings. Whether I saw through it or not, I still learned like their way. And it might have skewed, how I actually view things and stuff. It influenced, that put you in that kind of box in a sense, or that circle
Well,
or whatever.
and that's been happening to us forever. I mean, even before these systems,
Oh yeah. Yep.
which it's like, I mean, I think it's getting pretty bad with the chatbots and the AIs with younger kids. From what I'm hearing, it's not good.
Yeah.
Like that's all they're
No, it's
doing.
terrible. And that was the target from the beginning. It
Yeah.
wasn't any of us that were they didn't care if older people use these things. They're targeting the youth. It was always about the kids. And
Are you
like,
millennial?
you have no restriction on what this stuff is.
Are you millennial generation?
Uh, I was born 89. I
So
don't
yeah,
really know
so
because
you're right around me. We're
it's
both
pretty
about
much millennial.
yeah. You, me, my brother, are all
Mm,
around the same age, within a year or two of each other. But I feel like that's like we're the sort of group where they didn't know which way we were gonna go, and it was like maybe could be a problem, but
we're guinea pigs.
probably won't be because of all the trauma that people have had to go through with all the events, like like 9/11, September. What was it? Why am I
Yeah.
saying September? The stock market crash of 19 or 2000,
Y2K.
2008. Y2K. How many other ones? Jesus. Now we had October, whatever. Not saying any of these are legitimate events. Half they could be mixed reality, which I'm pretty sure they
I mean,
mostly are.
2012
There we go.
was kind of worldwide, but it was just
Exactly.
a bombardment of death, death
Yeah.
born.
So if you look at like our people around our age, though, that is kind of who the majority of people like make is talking about this still are either our age or slightly older.
Hmm.
Now I don't know if
Well, and now it's like, and there's still people our age using the GPTs. There's
yeah
everyone's probably
yeah
touched into it at
it is.
every age,
Yeah, I
but
mean it's I
I
don't
mean your
I'm
large
not
numbers don't
totally
be the kids.
I'm not totally against using these things as a tool. I just think oh when that's all you do, And when you don't think about the consequences, it's like you're just basically giving your life away at that point.
I think you're diminishing what's ever left of your creative intelligence that the system didn't
Yeah.
smush out of you.
And see,
You know,
that seems to be how they got our age group was they like right at that age where you would start a family and start having success in a job or and seeing some goals come to fruition. COVID. And now everyone's like
yeah.
just like blah, and there's barely any fight left.
Hmm.
It's wild, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
really, it could have been planned by an ancient AI, a newly developed AI, controlling government of the United States. You know, there's many things that I think are all happening kind of coincidentally. Um,
See,
but the
part of
way
me,
that it's orchestrated, it makes me think it's like a supreme, intellect. It's not like a group of dudes around a boardroom.
yeah, it has to be
You know,
because the people making the decisions are too confident, even when they're making the dumbest decisions and doing the most idiotic things. It's like they still know that everything is going to work out for them in the end. And once in a while, one of
or
them gets
that's what they're
burnt.
promised.
Yeah, once in a while, one
Yeah.
of them gets burnt. But for them, like for how dumb some of these politicians and puppets that we see on the world stage act, it's like you would never do that unless you thought that there was some guarantee that what you were doing was going to have a payoff. So who's giving the
Right.
guarantee?
Well, yeah, I mean,
That
that's kind of
seems,
where I'm saying, like,
yeah.
I don't think it's some boardroom of dudes and, some island somewhere.
And now they're using the sentient world the simulation from Purdue is now the Department. I think it's Department of Defense or DOJ has it.
Mm.
I think it's called SEER now. To look that up and double check.
See, this is where I would be curious too, is with some of these programs. I say programs because it's like they may not be what everyone keeps calling artificial intelligence or ancient intelligence. Those might be like from that, like derived from software and computing and all that kind of stuff, but that may be a company or organization who like developed just a really extreme algorithm, right? It's just or a series of algorithms that work together. That's all Google search ever was. That's what Google search, dominated in.
Yeah, yeah. Which is weird now
They,
because
they
if
were
you
able to
look at,
stack that algorithms to improve search.
but now it's odd because all the search engines seem to be acting horribly, like they can't find anything. And I think
Yep.
we might have actually even brought this up once. Like, are they using some of their computing power for the AIs, and they just like
Yeah.
took some of it away from the search engines? But they have the
Their,
AIs
their
now
processes
integrated.
are limited.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
it's weird though because the AIs are integrated in most of them now. So you'd think it would be fine, but I guess people are still kind of searching what they want, and I guess the goal is to just have the AI feed everything the person needs to know before they even ask.
Right.
But this is what a Purdue's sentient world simulation turned into: the synthetic environment for analysis and simulations, or
Great.
SEAS.
This is
Yeah,
like getting into pre-crime.
Department of Defense, Homeland Security enables researchers and organizations to try out their models or techniques in a publicly known or realistically detailed environment. This is like Jade Helm and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
This is like the beginning of Minority Report.
yeah. And this, I think it's even crazier than that because I'm feeling like
They're
they're
just going to go
putting,
on assumption.
but
You're
they're
just going
putting
to go,
people in like these 3D environments that are exact replicas of real world environments, and from that they can actually affect the real world environments like in real time, or that's the goal, I think, if they can't do it yet. And like I don't know in which way they're trying to affect the real world environment, whether it's like I don't know, shoot someone with a drone or drop a package or just put something in the sky that freaks out a population because they think it's a alien and it's a hologram. But it'd be like pulling something from an RPG, like from your pocket that you carry around with you as a character, and just throwing it in. It's like they probably have like a bunch of actionable items they could use. The real can be used to value and predict.
I just want to know where they're going to get all the power for all this stuff. Like that was the first problem right at the start.
Yeah,
Like when we were in the vocational schools, I said guinea pig earlier because that's what they told us. And I mean, then everything from there on, we were the guinea pig class for this, we were the guinea pig class for that. And it's like with all this stuff, the whole thing is everyone kept talking about, well, what about the power problem?
hmm,
And it was just always an assumption that, oh, there's all these renewable energies that are going to save us. And that's what a lot of the departments were transforming into, hydroelectric, solar power, wind power, ground thermal, heat transfer, et cetera. And I always saw like all that stuff. I did buy into it for a while, and it was like it'll work in like a giant cohesive. You have to have everything running in a certain way and things feeding into each other, and but the way that it started to get set up from the start, it was like, what is going on? Like they're putting these wind farms out in the middle of nowhere, and then you have to run power out there. And then you have to run the services out there to fix everything. And it was like right away it was built to crumble. And so, there's always been this idea of like fusion or nuclear or whatever type
that's what
of,
I was just gonna say.
yeah,
Unless they have something like that, which they might. I mean, that could be what we're seeing with the Tic Tac things.
right.
That's probably ours. I mean, I think it's ours personally.
But
And
I would be very hard pressed to say they'll be able to power all this stuff with the structure that was set up. That's the problem. Is like the infrastructure of it all is garbage.
they're gonna have to convert everything to something that can take the power from.
Right.
Yeah,
They need a workforce to do that. And they're going to need a big one. And they're going to need a bunch of people to go do it.
I
You
mean,
know,
unless they're assuming that these AIs are gonna be able to do it, but
I
you'd
think
think they'd want to put it in place.
I think all they're looking at with that is reduce the number that you need. You don't need security. You can have patrol drones and bots do all that for you. You don't need, you know, guards or check-ins. All that stuff's automated, badge access, right, with gates and all that stuff. Audio, visual now with all the cameras. And that's the thing. A lot of that stuff's real low power. What I'm talking about is like, anybody who's gotten into like the crypto stuff, crypto mining, um, or anybody who's network and server, like to cool those systems alone. I mean, people just to do like one mining computer with one server or whatever, like people were quadrupling their electric bill, in a
Yeah,
month.
yeah.
And it's like, okay, so where are we going to get the power to do all this stuff? Now, I think I'm sure there is some advanced powers that these people are probably aware of. Either they learned it from these ancient intelligences we're speaking of, or it was in some old books, or you pulled up the Plato thing earlier. It's like that's a famous person that has plenty of, literary and
We'd have to assume that
scientific
they have something, and
additive.
if they are like 100 years ahead of us, They might have already built it. That's, I mean, they're acting
No,
like they already.
that's
The thing
true.
is that they're acting like they already built it. That's what's weird. This
Or
is
what if
this
they just
is
think they can upload it to this network and try to run it, and really it's just all going to blow up in their face, and it's going to screw everybody.
well, that's like what it seems like they're thinking they can do with a cloud, and that's like even the. I think that's the premise of Silicon Valley is like they actually have to stop at the end releasing their decentralized internet because the cloud is infected by a rogue AI that's sort of got on their system a while back when they were doing like some sort of something really stupid, and they just forgot to check it and take it off, and it was decrypting and like the most encrypted messages on their decentralized internet. And basically, like within months, like they said, the nuclear codes could be accessed.
Uh,
So they're already seeding that into a television show.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But this idea right here is almost like what you were saying is the sort of the less, not the crypto sort of running all these machines at once, but the sort of mixed system, this multi agent system where you have, I guess, like a real world environment, software agents, real world agents, passive agents who don't have goals, active agents who do have goals. It gets really creepy. Like, I don't even know what this would really be used for. What is it saying? Self direction and other control paradigms related to complex behaviors. This seems like it would be used to like infiltrate certain color revolutions and whatnot. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Biohacking. I mean, this is all just biohacking. You know,
Yeah, and
frequency, mind control
but what
through.
makes it easier is like having robots because saying you have robots, you have real people, and then you have like your actors, and then you have your people who have no idea what's going on. So you don't just have to rely on the AI. That's wild, man. There's your IEEE and Jade. That must be part of something based off Jade Helm because this seems very Jade Helmish. Ma A, that's interesting. Like the Ma Aeon,
Mayan.
self-driving cars. Yeah, man, this is not good. I don't even recognize Jack. Have you
Just
heard of Have you heard of Jack or no?
Skynet jacked up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, they named Skynet already, right? They already have that.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see
Have I
what
heard who? Have I heard Jack?
of Jack.
Jack Intelligent Agent? I mean, that's what you, it's called a wall jack, where you plug in.
Yeah. Oh man, all this stuff
You're
is.
gonna,
It's also so like steeped in occult symbolism as well. Just all the
hmm
names. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know where to go from here even with all this stuff. Like if
Well, that's
this,
what I want to. I want to wonder, how much is actually operational, how much can actually go out. Are we getting like a soft release now, and there's a big thing later, right?
what I found it interesting that one of the doctors that Sabrina Wallace was promoting for a while actually wrote a really kind of scathing article about how upset he was about some of the things she said about him participating in an event,
Right.
and then he also like called
I
her
read
out.
that article. Yeah.
Yeah, he called her out on some of the stuff she was saying not being supported by actual science, and he's been pretty honest. So I don't know. Do you think he's lying? Do you think he's bullshitting? I don't know. I haven't read these books that they've read.
Well, it just comes down to how much can I trust any of those people. I don't talk to them like I talk to you. I
Yeah.
don't see them in my real world. I, you know, like a lot of people give a lot of others credit that they have absolutely no contact with, or, you know, or very minimal, a couple of comments on a YouTube live or video and stuff like that, but no actual relationship whatsoever. And so it's like with Sabrina or anybody that you're watching that you don't actually communicate with. Like, what do you really know that they're doing?
You
Yeah, he could
don't.
sound honest. He could
Yeah,
be
and I
accurate.
mean, and I don't know either of them. Like you said, like you, it's sometimes even Sabrina. I'm like, 'cause she can get wild, but she's not dumb. She knows what she's talking about. It's not like what she's saying isn't being written about, but that also
Right,
doesn't mean it's there yet.
right. Like how much of it is a dream and how much of it is actually ready for field application, right? Or
Yeah.
already in the field at this point, as some of them say. And like I don't
Um,
doubt there's stuff out there, but
I mean, but if you look at like the what we found out about all the medical journals and how like what do they say almost 80% of every published paper was basically unusable like ever
yeah,
because they all had fallacies in them or they had work that was just based on other work that was pushed through fraudulently. Like, is that the same thing that's happening in the tech sector? And how would we even know? Or the I guess it's not the tech sector anymore. Now it's like the biotech sector.
well, what about I would just question, you know, all your books in general, anything that's on documentation or tested studies and all these various things. Like, unless there's some way you could figure out if you were there in some aspect, or had somebody trusted that was involved somehow, and it was like a true double-blind test study of any given psychological, medicinal, or whatever experiment. And that I know that was like one of the biggest problems with a lot of experiments. They even teach it in school. That's the irony of it, is they're like, oh, unless it's a double blind, it's just not truly one of the participant party knows, so therefore it's already in. They don't call it the ether, but that's what they're basically saying, and then automatically the whole study can be bunked on that alone.
Yeah,
you know
yeah, and that's I was going to
so
bring up the whole Tesla because a lot of the stuff they're basing their technology on is the spooky action at a distance or what's it in phase. What's the word I'm looking for? When they're saying the two particles can basically lock. Why can't I think of the
no
right word?
oh, so many big words that could be used. Uh,
Not
interphase.
not phase locking. It's when two light particles are. Jesus, this happens to me every time I try to think of it. And it's such a simple
Is this like
thing.
what the particle accelerators are supposed to be
No,
doing when they
it's
collide them?
basically what they're calling spooky action at a distance now. When electrons are spinning at the same time.
Hmm.
Spooky action at
I
a
don't know. Phase
distance.
interlocking sounds pretty
That's
close, I
it's
think.
a term for it, but it's like not the right one. Entanglement. Entanglement. There we go.
Okay.
So they're all basing everything on entanglement, but if that's not how everything's working and it's working more on like an ether based model, especially like something like Ken Wheeler is saying, which he says based on what he's learned from Tesla and Heaviside, it's a perturbation of the ether. So like well, the light is actually always connected because the light is being created by a disruption in the etheric field.
Right.
So it's like that wouldn't how is that going to compute when you're thinking you're dealing with two particles that are at a totally obscure distance away from each other and just happen to simultaneously spin or do the same exact thing at the same time? when really they're connected. There's no like magic going on here. And what is that connection between those two particles actually going to do to the experiments that you think you understand?
Right.
And that's something I've been wanting to actually ask Ken Wheeler about because maybe it won't do anything. Maybe they can get away with having an incorrect model for that, just like they've gotten away with having an incorrect model for a lot of things.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it seems to be like that. We're working off of a whole bunch of models, and they're all probably partially correct in some ways, but we'd almost just have to assume that they're all mostly incorrect. Like they're just based on, a handful of people with peer review data. And those handful, like we've said, like may have gotten their information from some ancient AI they dug up out of the ocean or whatever it is, like however you came across it. Like, don't get me wrong, I think man is plenty more than enough powerful to discover things or to create something of his own volition. But um, it's just like the way that things are being done. It doesn't even appear as if it was entirely man. Now,
Like
I say
the
that just
PCR, like
as,
PCR tests where they're taking something from your body and mixing it with like monkey kidneys. Like,
yeah,
what idea is that? That a human would ever
right.
have? It's
And for what
bizarre.
purpose?
Yeah,
Like, what intention? You know, like, sure, there's really crazy people, right? You've come across them. They're
yeah, of
absolutely
course,
lost their mind. They
of
cracked.
course.
Whatever happened. But and like, so maybe they'll come up with some bright ideas like that. But we're talking about people in like positions of influence and power. This is that are having these types of ideas, right? And I'm not even talking about the faces. I think you get the light characters come on the TV and give you the saying stupid things and doing stupid things. And they say what is considered horrific to like the general populace. But I mean, even talking to them behind closed doors would probably make most people's ears bleed.
Yeah,
Nonetheless, the people they're actually taking orders from, or
and
the
no one
ancient
questions it,
intelligence. Yeah,
and then no one
not at
questions
all.
them. Oh, boss, you want me to take his blood or take his nose swab and put it in the kidney of the monkey that's already diseased? Yeah, and we'll spin it for 150 cycles, and whatever's left over, even though we're only supposed to do it for 30, you probably know better than me. Like, what the hell?
Uh,
I don't know, man. I don't. It's
but yeah, no, we're in a crazy place, for sure.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh, what was it? Shit. Oh, I was gonna say they. There are people though who have to know like a lot of this shit because just the telecommunications aspect of everything in our older televisions that were using these vacuum tubes that were getting instantaneous transmission in people's houses when televisions first came out, and just the way everything like that works now, like we know the whole speed of light thing is bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not a constant. It changes.
I,
It's like
it's not. Yeah, it
some
does, and
people
it's
know it
it's
changes.
unfinished.
Like it's gonna change based on
So
pressure and temperature, and then I'm sure it's gonna change once you're
height.
outside of our atmosphere.
Well, yeah,
But
height.
yeah,
Well,
well,
even height
height's
under
gonna
the atmosphere.
yeah, and height's gonna affect pressure, temperature.
So
That's why.
E equals MC squared is just the base root equation. Basically, it's unfinished.
That's the base root equation for like a
Einstein
certain
never
for like
actually.
sea level or something like that.
Yeah, it's at sea level. That's like what the base speed of light is at sea level. Is
But
E
they don't
equals
take,
mc
but
squared.
but no, but like the mainstream idiot scientists won't take that into consideration. They'll do it when they're doing speed of sound, but when they're doing speed of
Right.
light, they just use the E equals mc squared, and it makes no
Yep.
sense. How can you do that with sound and not with light? It's
Well, I
bizarre.
always thought it was. I thought it was bizarre in all the physics class when you're doing like projectile motion and you learn the base speed of light uh, equations and do various things in space, which that gets too wild to the point where it's like I don't know how I feel about what's outside of the dome and
Yeah,
space, but because even how they taught it in physics, what they're teaching you, it makes almost no sense whatsoever. I mean, you're literally talking about like the age of a person standing on a planet while you're in a ship going X amount of the speed of light, and when
yeah,
you're this
dude.
far away, they're 500 years old, and then when you pass by them, they actually are dead for 600 years or something. You know, and it's
That's
like,
dude. Because if that's the case, why can't we then target? So, because they say they can see back to the beginning of the universe. Yeah, I'm sure. Because you have a strong enough telescope that can just see back. Then why
right,
can't you figure out, calculate where the Earth was, however long it would have to be to where your instruments would work? 100 years, 100 years. I'm sure they could go 100 years back because I'm sure they have images that they say are 100 years back in our universe. So 100 years back, find the Earth. If you can see it, like, does that not mean that there would be a way if you can figure out that light speed thing to get them some sort of message? I mean, it breaks
oh
down.
yeah,
The
I'm
logic of
sure.
it breaks down to me.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, it's literally.
wouldn't they be able to look forward at us and be able to get us something at least then if we can't go back? You can go forwards. It just it doesn't make sense. And you also when you shoot a laser, what is it? A point source laser light through I think what is it? A glass of water. It actually speeds up when it comes out. Shouldn't happen.
Mhm. Well, that's
So
the things that like defy the laws, right? Defy
yeah,
the laws of physics. And there's points and centers all over the surface that do this, right? They actually closed down Mammoth Cave because there's a couple points in the cave where ground you're walking on the ceiling and you won't notice. And did start to notice eventually after many, many years doing
wait.
tests and bringing gadgets and stuff, and
I lost you
started
right at the
realizing.
I lost you right at the beginning. So you're basically walking, and then you wind up on the ceiling from the gravitational.
Disturbance.
Yeah, they
Like
have
there's
a
something going on in certain areas in the cave. It doesn't
yeah,
work the way it's supposed to.
they have a park here in California. It's called like I wish I could remember. I think it's something Vortex Park or something. But you go there. There's a bunch of areas where if you're even standing next to a person, your height changes because of the just the anomalies in the I guess the like electromagnetic field and whatever the hell gravity actually is and how it's affecting people. But then there's also, like you're saying, stuff that does the weird sort of gravitational effects on how people are being held against like a wall when they feel like they're walking straight.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. I want to go there so
Yeah, and I
bad.
mean, talking about the speed of light and that equation, um, a book I just finally read. I've read some of his other stuff, but Bruce L. Cathy, He does harmonic 33, 288, and then his last one is the bridge to infinity, harmonic 371244. Um, but yeah, he takes Einstein's equation of light and he actually takes M and relates it back to C and then expands the equation out into what it fully is. And he adds in longitude, latitude, and then height from surface level is added into the equation. And that's where the speed of light isn't always the same starting from the first millimeter you get off of zero. It
Exactly.
starts to reduce or vice versa. I can't remember.
That
Um,
makes total sense.
and all the points on the Earth's surface where, like, the Vatican is, where Melbourne is in Australia, where all the stuff with Jesus Christ that happened in the Middle East, to Muhammad, to the pyramids in China, to the pyramids in Europe, Russia, the Mayans, North America, they're all on geometric locations that are all very specific to that speed of light equation within their longitude and latitudinal distances and things that happen. And I mean, he mapped it out all the way through every nuclear device that has ever went off
I was just gonna ask you, is
is
it the
based
guy
on
who did
these
the?
harmonic layouts.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was gonna ask, is it the guy who did those
Yep.
grids across the planet? And he said like it's a possibility that nuclear weapons will only work within certain like longitude and latitude points on the Earth because of these ley lines
Yep.
and the electromagnetic effects and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's super
Yes. He's
interesting.
the one infamous for all that. Hmm. So yeah, no, I went through his material, and like with anybody, I don't know that guy. He passed away, I think, in 2017. Um, but as far as like his information, the way he lays it out, and the way it's in the books, who the book was published by, I mean, I looked into him as much as I could. He was like an airline pilot out of New Zealand, um, and that's I give a lot of credit if you're a pilot and all that kind of stuff, but I still do question, like, that's a very elite group and a small group of people across the planet. I know there's
Yeah.
thousands of flights and all that kind of stuff, but like I work in a mass industry. In my particular title that most of my career was, like, it's a very small group. Yeah, there's like 1,000 people, and I probably know like 700 of them. You know,
Hmm.
and all of the information that we've all accumulated in our career over time, it's not like a secret, but it's not something that I'm going to go and tell everybody because it does leaven your position, right? It makes you less valuable, essentially, in the way our system works, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, um, but I gotta say, with Bruce Cathy's work, like, at least if you just look at it for what it is, the equations he lays out and the maps and the grids, like, it adds up. Like, you can crunch the numbers and they all add up, right? They're all correct. And he did it before advanced calculators were even around, so it was all like handwritten, doing square roots and derivatives
So even like
by
the
hand.
even the claims of
It's there if you want to check it out.
like them shooting up nukes into the stratosphere or whatever down near Antarctica, did he was he able to map that out, or did he say it didn't even happen?
No, that's in that last book.
So it fit on his grid.
He's got it's just broken down into real small bits on it, and so
Yeah.
no,
That,
like if it didn't ever fit, he wouldn't put it in there. So it did
okay.
fit on the
Okay.
grid. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I was, but
It's
thought you asked something different.
it's interesting because
Um,
that reminds me of what's his name, Flamenco, and what he's been doing with the dates and the eclipses, and saying
yeah,
how he can't line it up with the dating system we have, and he's I think he said there was 1,000 years added to the calendar. He says like Jesus was European. Um, I mean, there's a lot of stuff he says, but he's getting this all
Oh,
from,
there's a lot of those that
yeah, there's
rumors
a,
out there.
yeah.
Jesus is European.
But I mean, the thing is, he's getting all his stuff mathematically because he's a mathematician through, I guess, these old historical ledgers that all the kings and I guess dictators of all these countries held on to that he was able to get his hands on. And just by I guess the misdating, like the equations he would come up with that should be able to give you an accurate history of every single eclipse, I guess, in our history, or at least for the last however many before, and I guess all the way back until the last polar shift, it would have had to be. He was like, I can't get it to match. So they're saying here there was an eclipse on this day when they had a war. It definitely
Yeah,
didn't happen. I want to read his
I
books,
like it.
but have you read any of his stuff? I want to read his stuff, but I've heard it's like a freaking nightmare. Yeah, I keep hearing
See,
it's a
that's why I
nightmare.
like with Bruce Cathy's was it's not easy. So if people want to read those, they're tough. But he does like make it easy as far as he doesn't put all the mathematics on there. He leaves it as just like here's the starting equation, here's the final answer after a while, and he more gets into the stories. Um,
Yeah,
no,
see,
I
that's
haven't
what
read any of Flamenco,
I think
and if it's all like
flamenco.
data,
I think you're seeing just equations mostly, and then he writes a little
yeah,
bit, and then you're back to equations. But there is another guy, and I think I posted in the Telegram the other guy's book who was either he worked with flamenco or he was inspired by flamenco. God, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it now, but it was something about a comet. If I find it, I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about. I know that's such a obscure reference to give you.
I read a lot of the comment stories because those are I know, but those are few and far between, really, as far as like the major comet stuff that goes on that they talk about. That's right. It's like you don't even know if it's really there half the time. Can't look up in the sky and see it. You know. Um,
Yeah, it was this. I mean,
but I
basically, what?
think
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're
I
good.
think they're yeah. I think they're um, like I think all these guys had very good points, and they may not have had the whole picture, but I think they were very much onto it with like the number calculations and some of the theories that they're kind of dancing around. Um, and like you were saying, like to me, like it's all frequency. Everything here is vibration and frequency, and it's interconnected in a bunch of ways that I don't think we truly understand. Um,
Exactly.
I think Like I think I kind of learned it in a weird way through pneumatics and hydraulics. I don't know why I always made this connection, but um, I think it's because they separated it in the program, but you learned it together. So it was pneumatics and hydraulics, and then, like most programs, is taught together. Why? Because they're virtually the same thing, except one's fluid and one's air. Your only difference between fluid and air is compressibility. So that's the only thing that makes the difference in like what you're learning and the math and the calculations of, putting air through a pipe system versus through fluid, right?
Dude, that's almost
And
like you were being prepped to like work with plasma,
oh yeah,
because
I
because
mean,
that's like the
well,
same type
that's what
of.
they kept telling us in the program. You're the guinea
All
pigs
right.
for all this stuff, and that was just one of 27 programs that you had to finish before your 2 years were up and onto high school. So you had to finish you had to do like electricity 101, you had to do CAD design, basic machining skills, auto marine biology, uh, computer software systems, your four main categories, right? Math, history, science, yada, yada. Like you had to do all of these different things, but the ultimate programs like that I ended up finishing in was like robotics and smart technology. And all the smart technology stuff, that's all they were teaching us about was, oh, all the future is going to be smart walls and smart cars and self-driving everything and automated this and drones and all that stuff. I mean, that was like, and they had all just got it fresh out of the box, right? Like all our professors were like opening this stuff up and going, all right, we're going to build it and put it together and you're going to design programs and we're going to do stuff, like that was
Dude,
well,
even
we're
when I
going
was
to
in
the
school,
future.
even for business, like that was actually what they made me do my like the thesis paper I had to do to graduate was on the future of the healthcare industry. And it got into all this stuff, and I was a business management major. Like I did not need to be getting into
Yep.
nanobots and everything like that. But they really they sold it. They sold it like it was going to be the best thing ever. And I just wanted to I wanted to graduate, so I just wrote whatever I had to write. But
Right.
I mean, they also didn't give you, there wasn't a lot of information then, so it didn't sound like everything was going to be freaking awful and most likely harmful. I'm trying to find this book still for you if you like the comet thing, because whoever, I think it was Thomas Sheridan who was
If you
discussing
want to
this.
find it later,
Yeah, I might have to. It's
oh,
going to
that's
just,
a familiar name. Read some of
Thomas,
his stuff.
Thomas Sheridan? He's a YouTube channel. That, the one that he was doing like the
Hmm.
Rona
Yeah,
Chronicles
no,
back
I have
around.
his
Yeah.
YouTube channel too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
shoot. I'm gonna have to look for this after. Dang.
yeah, just
But
look
it,
for it after.
but
Browse.
that I did start reading, and it was interesting, and it was similar to like flamenco, but he was doing it based on comets and comets not coming when they should be coming, and just a bunch of crazy stuff. Same situation,
Hmm.
but he was more readable.
Yeah, see, and I understand that for most people where it's like you want to recommend books or things, and it's like there's just some people where it's just hard to read. For
Yeah.
me, it's just like a really crappy movie, right? Like you see a trailer for a really crappy movie and you're like, I'm never gonna watch that. But then there's one rainy day where you have nothing to do whatsoever, nothing you can think of to watch or a hobby to pick up or whatever. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna sit here and watch like what Benjamin Button or something, right? I don't think I ever watched that movie still, but
I
I know one
unfortunately
day that day
I
may
did.
come.
I
You
unfortunately
did.
did once. Yeah, it was. I would never, but I would never do it again. I don't
And that's
recommend
what
it.
I mean, right? You eventually might crack and watch this thing once, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Oh, and it
And some
wasn't,
books, they're like that too. They're just like, man, this is gonna be hard to read. Like it's gonna be hard to sit here.
and it wasn't Sheridan who recommended him. It was the guy from Unslaved. What the hell's his name?
Paul Unslaved?
Tazarian.
Oh,
Yeah,
Thazarian.
Tazarian.
Yeah.
He's the one who recommended it, and he's usually pretty thorough with like what he
Oh yeah.
recommends. Yeah.
Guys in the chat earlier in the text chats, forums and stuff were talking about him and Maxwell, right? And a couple
Yeah,
other people.
I like Tazarian,
Sabrina came up.
but it is weird that Tazarian had that early history of like ancient alien sort of thing. But he seems to have gotten away from that
Yeah.
like a
No, he's
long
got
time
that.
ago. Or does he still have that in
Yeah.
his cosmology of everything?
I'm not
That
sure
must
about
be.
now.
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
feel
like
like
looked into stuff lately.
that's a bit of a pagan thing. I feel like it has to be.
And he might have just like been looking into that field. That stuff's got a lot of relatable things to what he was looking at.
That's what I kind of
So he
think
may
because
bounce in and out.
I feel like it was when he was first studying. It was just one of the things he came across. Some of it looked good, and he changed eventually his mind and started focusing on other things. I mean, I don't think he would be against there being like some sort of archetypal spiritual current or force acting on humanity at all. I just don't think he'd be promoting so much like the ancient alien thing anymore if
right?
he ever did. And I could be wrong. He may not have. I might be
Not,
confusing.
uh, I think he does more. I thought he was more like genealogies, and
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
definitely lying about different histories and
at
all that
least the
stuff.
last 10
Was more his
years.
main.
Yeah, at least the last decade or two. That's all he's been doing. Like, there's some old videos you'll
Right.
find where he's talking about the maybe ancient alien stuff, but it's very rare. I haven't heard him talk about that stuff in forever.
That stuff was going on a lot back for like it was
Yeah,
still kind of fizzling out by the late, 2018, 19, all that,
they're
right?
still
And
it's
I mean,
still
even during
fizzling.
COVID, it kind of blew up. Yeah, well, it blew up during with their lockdown stuff. So that was just, that got lit up with a bunch of other certain circles, right? And I mean, I was in that whole realm for like a good decade,
Yeah,
from like
I
the
thought there was
early
something to
2000s.
it back when I was younger.
Yep. And that I still look at some of the stuff now.
I
I've
still
went
think
back
that
and read some of the books.
I think that there are synthetic biological things that people fucking can project their consciousness into. I don't know what the hell is doing it. Like maybe like either an ultra terrestrial. Why am I saying that word? Like the
Ultra
John
terrestrial.
yeah, I'm having a hard time saying that word. The John Keel idea, where it's like some sort of larger, which was more that then becomes like an archetypal force, whether it's good, evil. But then you also have like military dark projects and stuff like that who probably have things like that. And if you look at the behavior of people who say they've been abducted and what happens to them, it matches like what you would think a psychopath would do if they took someone for
Yeah.
the most part. It's like always a
Oh,
sexual
and
thing, it's always control, it's always manipulation, fear. There's barely any good
that's why I
stories.
read into it. I
Yeah.
read into it when I was researching MK Ultra.
Yes, yes.
You know.
And it's interesting. It's interesting how then that connects to back to Scientology because we know they believe that like what Xenu the alien popped everyone out of a volcano or something like that, and that you have all these entities that attach to you that
Yes.
are alien entities, and that they're like altars.
All I can see is the South Park animation version.
Dude, they're gonna
But
like.
yeah, that's
I
what they
remember
think or
when
what they
Pink.
believe.
Do you remember Pink Elephant when he was still doing videos?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, remember he said
I
that
remember Pink Elephant.
Scientology was going to make a big comeback, and I think he's right. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's really weird because I started seeing billboards up around here like saying join Scientology, and they hadn't done that in a long time, especially after all those documentaries
I
had come out.
To me it makes sense. You got your science dystopian everything has been the thing as of late that is flooded with, Comic-Con and the models, right? Comic-Con's
Yeah.
got a huge, all your comedies now and most of your movies, like no matter what, it has some sort of they talk about it. They talk about flat earth, round earth, they talk about
Hmm.
um, aliens, interdimensional beings, right? Like they're dropping it in just your regular titles all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
And then you get these
and it's been
ideas
going
like
that way.
yeah, and you get ideas like from the telepathy tapes, which who knows if that's real telepathy? It could be synthetic telepathy, which apparently exists. And I know Facebook has been saying they want to have everyone be able to do that very soon with like headsets and whatnot. But you have people who want these sort of powers, and that's offered to them in the Scientology paradigm. if you become like a theta, blah blah blah, you're
Right.
whatever level you're at, they start saying you can get powers, which I haven't seen any or met anyone with powers except maybe Tom Cruise, who has the power to still make decent movies despite the state of Hollywood,
Yeah.
which is weird too that they've let him continue.
He's a Scientologist, you know.
He's the
And
only one.
no, there's other ones.
Well, I mean,
John Travolta.
I'm saying the only like action hero left that's making
Oh
good
yeah.
movies is a Scientologist, and it's him. Yeah.
Well, seems like all those 80s guys are still going, but he can keep the storylines the way he wants or whatever. It's still in line, right?
And
The Mission Impossible.
dude, speaking of I haven't seen the. I actually think I did see the last one before because there's the final one's coming out soon, right?
The
If it's
final
not out,
one's coming out soon.
yeah, and it's
Yep.
all AI based, right?
Uh,
Because he's
well,
trying to get the
even in
keys.
I gotta remember the title now. It's gonna make me angry.
Final Reckoning.
Yes. So it's Final Reckoning Part 1 came out last year, I think.
Yeah.
Or just before. Um, and that one, it's about the cabal. He's getting the cabal. But there is all these, it's been techno everything since the first one. So there's kind of like the already AI systems running stuff and doing things. But
isn't there an entity named Gabriel in the first one? Yeah, Final Reckoning
yes.
ending. Yeah, and I mean it kind of comes out more towards the end, I think, because
And
they
it's like
didn't.
one of the dudes he killed, like basically gets rebuilt in an AI hologram version or something.
Yeah, basically like the guy's
If I'm
playing like
remembering the preview correctly.
I think it's like the guy is
Like
playing
he's
like
a
he's
guy,
the
but he was
like
really an
he's yeah
entity.
being possessed by the AI, which he could
Mhm.
throw him off like a shell. I'm sure the AI could throw that guy off like a shell and pick someone else if it really wanted to. Which it's interesting too. They named it Gabriel,
Right,
and that they're using that
right.
cross, which has the. It's not a normal cross. It's like four. It's like an X basically. Oh, there's so much symbolism.
Yeah.
And Gabriel, wasn't that the name of like the Lucifer Inc. Tyler Project Mayhem, one of the entities that was the more religious type back when that was all going on with the Annans? Do you remember all that?
Hmm.
It was right. It
Yeah,
was
and I,
Gabriel.
I mean,
It was Gabriel, and it was
Gabriel
Tyler.
is just one of those names too. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do want to see the movie, unfortunately, which I'm gonna watch it probably.
Which one?
The new Mission Impossible. Actually, I do want to see it,
Oh, yeah.
and there's not many
There's
movies
not
lately.
really anything coming out. Yeah. So, I mean, that's like one of the few where I'd actually consider just going to the theater to see if they're even still alive. So,
I heard they're doing really bad. Really
oh
bad.
yeah,
I don't
it's
even know
doing
how they're
god
in
awful.
business still. I didn't
Like I
realize
drive by
this.
like a bunch.
I didn't realize this last one was MI7.
Yep.
MI7. It's like M17. M17 almost. If you make the I a one, and then we have that Mickey 17 movie coming out with Robert Pattinson with the clones. Have you seen the trailer for that?
Nope.
It's
What's
bizarre.
that
It's
one?
like he volunteers to let them clone him and just keep killing him for science.
Hmm.
So
Oh, I
it's
think I did see
yeah, it's real
something
weird.
like that.
So there's Mickey 17, MI7, and a lot of just seems weird, odd. Probably nothing, probably coincidence, but I'm sure
I
you
don't
could
know.
find.
17
You
is
might be able to find a lot of occult symbolism within the
all
MI7.
right. Well, well, of course, because I already made this connection before.
Okay,
Uh,
let's hear it.
it
Go
only
on.
seems to really grab people from a certain generation, though, because it's Master Spartan is 117,
Oh,
and 17 is. I wish I had that one drawing ready to go all the time.
and if you want to share
Can't
screen,
remember
just let
what.
me know.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything ready to like just pull up or do. Uh,
Master
trying to
Spartan
remember.
117. Was that? Are you talking about Halo?
Halo. Yeah.
And his name was John, right? Like Johnny Five,
Yep.
or John Teeter and John O'Connor.
John Preston. John. There's so many.
And this is also the Unto Dawn Halo 4. That's interesting too. That all this dawn is coming.
Well, and so John's 117 because you know John was 117 of 256,
And
right? So there's
he's a naval officer too. What the fuck?
yeah, it's UNSC. It's the United Naval
And there's
Space
super and he's
Command.
super soldier, huh? They got the super soldiers in there.
You know,
But that also brings back up the imagery of
they
Master and
are super
Commander.
soldiers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And then that's back to Master and Commander.
Well, and they're all children that were abducted at 5 years old.
The 20 and back.
They're all abducted at 5 years old and genetically modified and raised in the military, programmed.
Well, that's even like Fallout, like the Brotherhood.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these
It
guys are.
literally is the Brotherhood or the Space Marines, right? Warhammer Space Marines, too.
I think they just gave them like a 60 million or more to do the next Fallout season, and I wasn't. I didn't think it was that great,
Wow.
but they're definitely going to start
No.
pushing. They're pushing. Same message, the same thing that was in because they basically just made the same show with
Silo,
yeah, exactly.
the 100.
How many? Yeah, how many exactly? There's so many. But yeah, so the master commander, master chief, back into the Scientology.
Yep.
It's everywhere. We have these super soldier suits. It looks like are from Oblivion, or what's the other one where he's like, oh, he keeps reliving his life over and over after the mimics get Tom Cruise.
Oh,
Great
Live,
movie.
Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
Great movie.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah. But even
Oh,
that
I like that
is.
story a ton.
Oh yeah,
As
it's
far as
awesome.
using the mimics, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's really good, but it's a lot of that is even mapping onto some of the things, some of the ops and whatnot. Like, I mean, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
matrixy imagery with the mimics too, right? Don't they look kind of like those squids?
They look like the Sentinels
Yeah,
from the Matrix.
that's what I meant. The Sentinels. Yeah. So
Yep.
then you have him interfacing with the Sentinels, basically, just like Neo. Never ends. Never ends. Can't get an original idea.
Yep.
Hollywood's gonna be shot, man. We're shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to anything coming out or no?
Hey, but as far as manufacturing, it's all getting shot. Am I going in and out?
But yeah, you just did a little bit. I missed like half of what you said.
It's like fine now. It keeps.
Mine's saying that
Um,
my connection now is saying it's good. So it seems like this has been happening a lot with people. I don't know if it's like all these blackouts that are happening in random places. I have no idea.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, um, for a couple days here, up until like 2 days ago, uh, everything was real slow. Like phones, internet speeds, streaming,
Are
anything.
you are you
Uh,
using fiber or your
yeah, I don't
regular?
know. It's been quirky.
What do you have, fiber or broadband or whatever the hell it is?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, for your wife, for your internet
Uh,
company. Because I'm thinking about switching to AT&T fiber, but
oh, it's
god damn, you're breaking up. So
I think
whatever
we're
you.
just all on fiber here.
Oh, jeez, that's interesting. See, because here my internet is
Uh,
less reliable than
uh,
hers, the next door neighbor, and she has fiber. AT&T, it's fast as hell, never goes out. But you have fiber there, and it's actually being less reliable than mine now. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? Makes no sense.
yeah, I don't know.
Just
Ghost in the machine.
gotta get the Elon Musk satellites and get a couple of our own, set up our own internet, make it
Yeah, but I don't even
unhackable.
know if those are like what they're made out to be.
I don't even know if there's any up
You
there
know,
because the way that they're shown to be up there is bizarre. If they have that many up there, this should terrify people. They're like lined up around the poles, like almost like they're sentinels
yeah, it
themselves.
should
Like
look like there's space junk and
yeah, they're literally in like
missiles ready
freaking
to
like
fire on
rows.
us.
It's like they're in rows, like back in the Revolutionary War, everyone would set up and just wait to fire. That's how they're set up. I'm like, what is going on? It's bizarre. If that's how, if they're up there, if there's that many up there, obviously we've seen some of them flying lower in the atmosphere. So, but what do you think, man?
That's the thing, though. You can look up and see a blinking light kind of fly by, and you can look up every night and see it at the same time. Um, the thing is like, I live right next to the Detroit Metro Airport right now. Like, I watch planes taking off and landing all day, every day. They look like almost nothing after 5 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
traveling at a couple hundred miles an hour away from you.
So it could
It's
be
like,
anything.
um, yeah, it's like, they could be out of your focal sight if they do have all these thousands of them up there. But then you also, like when they do like they did the Red Bull jump and stuff. Well, when they're sitting up there at the upper stratosphere, shouldn't they have seen thousands of these things in every direction? And you couldn't see
S-
any.
So are they only
It's
up
like,
in like the middle or the lower atmosphere, like but you wouldn't we see them?
or were they in a camera studio?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few of
Or
the
were
train,
they
like the trains of the satellites, like or whatever they are. That they're
right
not that high.
driving by?
Yeah, they're
Right.
not that high. I mean, they could be coming down like 100 miles away or 20, 30 miles past my vision. I've also seen one of the ones that look like it's going through water, like the rockets, I guess, that are hitting some part of the firmament and can't seem to do the trick.
Right.
Yeah. So I have no idea. I have no idea what these guys are doing. It's getting
Well, and that's
shitty.
what I'm good with that, where nobody really has any idea. Because I would even think up at these extremely high levels to us, even they're not that high up, and they don't even really know. Like they might being fed all the same shit and just selling it right back with promises of whatever, being rulers in the new kingdom or whatever, whatever floats your
Exactly.
boat, right? Whatever your price
Exactly.
is.
I thought it was weird that Catherine Austin Fitz said on when she went on Tucker that I guess when she was working with the IMF, or when they wanted her to work with the IMF, they said if you sign, or are you going to sign, blah, blah, blah. Her boss asked her, and she's like, I really don't feel like it's for me. And he was like, but what are you going to do? Like, what do you mean you're not going to sign? Like, what if something happens and because you'll never be allowed back in? Like, basically, and she was like, I got a vision. She got a vision in her head of being in a bunker and them giving her like a uniform with her name on it, like during some sort of cataclysm. And she was like, I'd rather not be with those people when that happened. But yeah, no, that's pretty much I think what they're all just enticed with.
Like
It's
being
like,
able to survive the
yeah,
apocalypse or something.
yeah, we got you a
Or
bunker. We got you a
right.
spot. We got you a spot. We won't forget about you. Just keep going. You'll probably, I mean, you'll be dead, I'm sure, before they even have to use it. It's insane, man. It's insane. But what do you think? Do you think, yeah, we almost went 2 hours. I think we did a decent enough breakdown for tonight for a quick one.
Yeah, and just for this
Just
is
to
a
catch up a
large
little bit.
topic.
Yeah, I know. I know last minute, I was just like, I don't
No,
want
that's
to just
good.
sit here. I want to talk about something.
No, this is perfectly fine. It's been really quiet lately. Seemed like everyone talked last night, and I picked up an extra shift, so I ended up working. And then,
Same. I was working too.
yeah,
We'll see
but
how the next few weeks play out. I don't know really what's going on right now in the mainstream world. I haven't been paying attention at all.
nope,
At all. And I know people are freaking out all
me
the
either.
time.
I
But
mean, other than reading headlines.
yeah. The only thing
No,
I
that's
see
the
is like,
thing.
I
This is a
see
good
YouTube.
apocalyptic season right now.
Oh, wait. There is something else that happened. Did you see the Mexican ship that hit the Brooklyn Bridge?
No,
It was like
that just happened.
A Mexican naval, old naval sailing type of ship. It didn't do much damage to the bridge, but people on the boat apparently got hurt. Some of them. It just happened today. It
Mm-hmm.
was real weird. I don't know how the hell that happened, but just same
Yeah,
thing like with
like they
that other bridge, the
right.
Dolly, yeah, the Dolly incident. Just bizarre, man. So we'll see.
Oh, they were releasing all sorts of bizarre stories, and it's just been going that way for
Yeah,
a long time, it seems now.
there's
So,
a lot of weird fear stuff coming out about a volcano out here on the west coast in the ocean, and then a lot of people are seeing these drones again. Now they're seeing them out here. It's like just shoot me in the head. Just end it now.
I'm
Just come on, guys, or do something.
surprised you're not getting the San Andreas is gonna pop up again, or
I have a feeling the San Andreas is solid for
California's
some
gonna fall
reason.
off.
I got a weird feeling it's solid.
I'm sure it is.
And I almost think they did it to themselves. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe they don't want the San Andreas to go anywhere, but by drilling so much on it, I think they like release so
Right.
much of the pressure that it's just not going to go. I think they're more worried about the one in the ocean up by Washington and whatnot.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So we shall see.
Interesting.
We shall see. I'm sure it's
Well,
going to
no,
get
man,
crazier.
it was a good chat. It's
Yeah,
good to catch
brother.
up, man.
Definitely good hearing from you, man. We got to do this again. We should try to get
Yep.
we should try to see if Silas wants to come on one time with us and talk about some of this crazy stuff because we know he can fill in some of the stuff that we can't remember because that kid's like an encyclopedia.
Yep. Of all of it, all the names, all the dates,
Everything,
what page number, what quote.
everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how
All
he
right.
does. He's smart kid. But
Yeah.
hopefully, let's do it again. Let's do it again soon. And Silas, if you're listening, you want to come on whenever. Obviously, we all miss you. But yeah, dude, good talk. Let's talk soon.
All right, Chris.
Have a good night, brother.
Take it easy.
You too, man.